Quadrilla, you're speaking now. Do you want to make sure you can speak, mate?
Yeah, how do I sound? Am I good?
Yeah, perfect, mate. So we'll give it about 30 seconds, then we'll do an intro. Just let everyone join.
Sure. Yeah, take your time. No rush, man.
All right, then let's get it going. So first of all, thanks for everyone that's joined. The AMA is being recorded, so you can listen later if you can't listen to the whole AMA now. So this is the AMA with OXL and Main. Main is a platform which connects different projects together, giving new projects and existing projects a platform to showcase their utilities. So yeah, do you want to just give a quick intro of yourself, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been working full time in DeFi for the last 3 years since 2020. And before that, I had been I'd been using crypto around 2017 is when it all kind of kicked off as a means to kind of just explore the markets because it was at the time relatively new, at least to me. And as that kicked off, I kind of got caught up with regular life stuff. Fast forward a few years, and I found myself living abroad and getting very deep into the DeFi space. So I got lucky enough to work for a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, where I was kind of paid to research. And within that research, I was able to find a lot of, promising protocols at the beginning of that bull market. And that kind of just kickstarted everything. So once I started working with them, it got me into a bunch of different networks. And through that network, through those networks, I was able to make these connections, which has put me in the position that I'm in today, where I'm working with 0xLeverage. We're building a lot of new innovative stuff that has literally never been done before in terms of our main utility. And we're just kind of at the precipice of what I consider to be another bull run. But at the same time, with what we've created, it's going to be something that's going to allow people to amplify what normally happens in a bull run in terms of, tokens going crazy, 10x, 20x, 50x, 100x. But being able to leverage trade on top of that, it's going to kind of, take those gains to the next level. So that's how I found myself with this particular project, 0xLeverage. And since joining the team and working with these guys, we're communicating on a daily basis. I can honestly say that I haven't had this feeling of something that's going to do what the numbers that I think it can do. I haven't had this feeling since around 2020, 2021. It's just been an incredible journey so far of what we've created, the community that we've kind of fostered together. And, I'm really excited to, speak more about the actual project. But that's pretty much it about my experience coming into crypto, as well as how I found myself with 0xLeverage.
That's amazing, mate. And yeah, one of my friends, Furio, actually told me about your project. And obviously that's why we connected. And obviously we've done this as a mutual partnership. We haven't charged you, and obviously you don't charge us. So that's why the main, like in my opinion, like Main is going to be different to most marketing companies, as we're actually trying to, connect like, promising projects together without robbing people. Like you know what it's like in the space where people charge stupid money, etc. So that's why we're doing this as well. So it's really good to have you on board. I actually bought one of your NFTs the other day, and it sold out really fast, didn't it? And I'm really excited about your project as well, because I haven't actually seen it done through Telegram before. Do you want to just give like a brief introduction? Obviously, people don't really know what the project's about. Do you want to just do it in simple terms?
Yeah, absolutely. So in DeFi, you tend to find trends. And sometimes these trends are good utility that stick around for a long time. They don't really burn out. Sometimes they're trends like taking a ticker symbol of, say, Bitcoin and putting a ridiculous name over top of it, like Harry Potter, Obama, whatever you want to call it. These trends, they come and go. Right now, we are experiencing a trend across Telegram as well as the DeFi space of Telegram trading bots. Now, these trading bots like Unibot and Maestro, they offer a select set of utilities that we also offer as well. So what you can do with those bots, you can do with 0xLeverage trading bot as well. However, as you can probably guess with the name, we have actually created a utility that is going to allow us to extend the opportunity to our users to leverage trade microcap tokens. Now, when I say leverage trade, we need to kind of get a few things out of, we need to clear a few things up. First and foremost being that you cannot short. You can only long. And the reason for that is we don't want to become a market maker. If we were going to offer short positions, we would need to somehow collateralize those by actually placing the short positions ourselves somewhere else, or we put up and assume the risk. And that's not what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is give people the opportunity to long meme coins, shit coins, pardon my French, low cap tokens that are launching on the Ethereum mainnet, going through the Uniswap V2 router. Now, the reason that this is unbelievably innovative is, first and foremost, this has never been done before. It actually has not been done. If anybody can prove me wrong, please send me a DM. But we are the first mover in this. And what makes that so bullish is we are actually proving that this can be done. A lot of people across multiple different communities were saying that this was not something that could actually be done. But I feel like a lot of those communities were looking at it in the wrong light. And we're lucky enough to be, stacked up in terms of our development team, to have these, developers that were kind of able to see a different vision of how we could provide this to happen. And I'll quickly go over that now in terms of the trade logistics, because it's kind of a crucial part. I tend to lose people quickly if they already don't believe that this can be done. And after I explain the process, a lot of people start to understand that, oh, wow, okay, this actually does work. So what happens is if you interact with our bot, which right now is only in beta access, and those beta users get access to the bot by purchasing one of our NFTs. So that's kind of like an access pass to the bot. And what happens is we will generate you a leverage trading wallet. You fund that wallet, and then you copy and paste a contract address into the bot itself. That will open up it uses a scanner to make sure that it falls within the parameters that our smart contracts that we allow to be traded, if they fall within those parameters, such as, a certain level of LP, it can't be over 10% tax, and we highly recommend it's much lower than that. But these parameters need to be met before the bot will allow you to actually trade that token. Now, what happens is if you will be prompted to select whether your initial USD amount that you want to put up in terms of your initial position and the leverage amount that you want. So through 1x to 5x. Then what happens is you will send your initial position to a third wallet. And when I say third wallet, because yours is the first one and our leverage pool is the second one. So we have a leverage pool that holds funds that is going to be sending you the borrowed funds into the third wallet that you just sent your funds to. Once those funds meet in the wallet together in Ethereum, they make the actual purchase of whatever contract or whatever token it is that you want to trade. And then you're able to use a command, which is just /tracklev. So TRACKLEV. And the bot will give you a graphic. Basically, for anybody who's ever traded futures on Binance, you can have that graphic that you can share. We've got the same thing. It renders, again, our development team is amazing. So it renders this image for you, and it tells you exactly how much you're up, how much you're down, and gives you the options of whether you want to close your trade, you want to set a take profit, set a stop loss, partial close, which is 50% of the position, but you still remain in the position. So we've got lots of features that are allowing people to really customize their trading experience. And through that process, once you make that sell, you can, the process is essentially reversed. So those tokens sell back to Ethereum to the third wallet, which was holding the tokens as well. So that's the swap. Sends back the borrowed funds to the leverage pool plus the fee. and then sends your gains back to your wallet, or what was left of your position back to your wallet. And if you do happen to get liquidated, then it just liquidates ideally at 70% of your initial position, minus the leverage that you've done. So this is where things get a little complicated, but we can touch on that later. But if you do get liquidated, what happens is it closes your position. And ideally, because it's so volatile in terms of the microcap space, ideally the leverage pool does not have to come out of pocket to accommodate your trade. So when that happens, that goes back to the leverage pool, and then you can open up another position if that's what you want to do. But the idea here is to allow people to leverage trade these microcaps by us having a leverage pool that does these transactions and makes the trade for you, and then sends back whatever funds, whether they're gains, whether they're losses, or if you get liquidated, no funds, back to the leverage pool, and then those gains go back to your wallet.
Yeah, it's really cool. That is really, really good. So, for example, I know you've just touched on like the different parameters and stuff, but for example, if a project's listening now and they did want to obviously list their project with you, how do they go about doing that?
So currently, because we are in beta, there's not really an application process. So we released originally we had 21 beta testers that before the NFTs were released. And even before that, for anybody who has ever used the BSC, you know how cheap gas prices are. Over $2,000 in gas was used on the BSC to test the utility that we have. Then we moved to the Ethereum mainnet and got some, this was one of the hardest parts of the project, was actually getting people to come in here and test the bot. We were funding these beta testers before we released the NFTs. So it was coming out of the team's pocket because we knew what we had. We knew it would work, but we needed to work out some kinks. So then we released the first 100 NFTs, and about 70%, actually exactly 70%, joined the beta group and started beta testing the bot. The other 30% were speculators in terms of the NFT market, and they wanted to flip those, and they actually ended up doing quite well themselves. However, that being said, with those 70 beta testers, they were able to, at this point, we are whitelisting contracts that fall within our parameters. So a user would come into the chat, they would then suggest a smart contract that they want to leverage trade. We would make sure that it falls within the parameters, and then we would whitelist it, and that would end up being tradable. We have a list of all the whitelisted token addresses, and people were able to trade those. Now, the reason why we have to be very adamant right now about the contracts that we are whitelisting is because we're in beta. The end goal here is to have our scanner be able to pick up contracts that are going to be potentially, how do I say this? Pick up contracts that fall within our parameters. And the reason for that is because missed liquidations is going to be the number one factor that would, in theory, hurt the project the most. If we miss liquidations, then we end up with a whole bunch of tokens that maybe went to zero or they're dust now, whatever it may be. And if that happens, then we're not going to be able to, continue lending money out for leverage trading. Luckily, we've gotten really good at finding contracts that are, setting the parameters, I should say, that allow us to be very confident in the fact that we're able to close that liquidation before it eats into the leverage pool. It did happen in the beginning of beta testing, but that's the main reason we're beta testing. So we did the first 100 users. We got so much information from that, from the 70 people that were using it. The first 100 NFTs. From the 70 people that were using the bot, we got so much information. We got to fine tune a lot of things. And then by the time that we released the next 100 NFTs, the bot is running absolutely, it's so smooth now. And that's only because we gave ourselves that first 100 NFTs. So we were able to get these users in. We tested it at a greater scale, and we will incrementally release 100 NFTs at a time until we are at 1,000, making sure that this bot, we've stress tested 100 users at a time all the way up until we are at 1,000, and it's working absolutely perfectly before we go with the public release. At the end of the day, this makes the most amount of money for the team, for the revenue share stakers, for everybody involved in 0xLeverage, if more people use the bot. So we don't want to give a barrier to entry for people to use the bot. We want more people to use it because that will ultimately benefit the entire protocol moving forward.
Yeah, that makes sense. But obviously, like you just said, at the start, it's better for you to have trusted people using it, just in case there was, because it's a new innovation. There's always going to be little problems here and there. But yeah, that definitely makes sense. So, what networks are you on? Just BSC and ETH at the moment, and then are you going to expand to different networks, or how is it going to work?
So this kind of comes down to one thing, and that's just demand. If the demand is there, we can accommodate for it. Now, anything EVM compatible, this will work with. But with the BSC, there's not really a demand there. But we chose to do that for testing purposes because of the gas prices on Ethereum mainnet. That 2,000 we spent on the BSC would be, a lot more. I mean, God, we're looking at like 6 cents per transaction on the BSC, and you're looking at like $1 something on Ethereum, depending on what gas prices are even at. And that's just for the swaps. That's not talking about the actual gas prices for, ETH transfers. That's not talking about the gas prices for a token that has a lot of people, interacting with the smart contract. So we weren't able to test on ETH, but we were able to test the utility on the BSC. Now, the demand right now is on ETH mainnet. We haven't had really any requests for any other chain. And I'm sure, as there's 235 people in here right now, all probably interested in cryptocurrency and different blockchains. Every single one that has popped up over the past 6 months has also just kind of faded away. I mean, I've been trying to follow ZK Sync and Linnea and, Pulse chain, the base chain, but the demand just isn't there. And what people need to understand is we have leverage pool funds. We funded that leverage pool through in the beginning out of pocket, through the NFT sales, through the token tax, through liquidations, through fees, through everything. Now, in order to accommodate another chain, we need to allocate those leverage funds to another chain. We need to create a pool on another chain. So while right now the demand is really only on ETH, if there was a demand on something else, we can accommodate it. But there's no point allocating funds over to a different chain if only 5 people are going to use it and there's no volume, nobody's making real gains on it. The liquidations aren't even coming through because there's just no movement, right?
Yeah, that's totally understandable. 100%, mate. I'm just going to quickly just say, in about 10, 15 minutes, guys, we're going to take questions for obviously the project. If you want to ask in the main Telegram group now, we will be tipping some prizes as well. So if you want to start asking questions there, we'll touch on there. The only one thing, obviously, I want to speak to you about is obviously I've had a few people DM me. What sort of security are you using to protect the wallets on Telegram?
Absolutely. So this is it's funny because in the last 2 weeks, we've seen the 2 biggest leaders in the Telegram bot space both get exploited. Today, for instance, I don't know in terms of what time zone you're in, but for me this morning, Unibot was exploited. Their router was exploited. We got to make that clear because the encryption when it comes to the wallets is, it's encrypted. It's encrypted on a completely privatized server that the team has no access to. That goes the same for Unibot as well as Maestro. Now, what was exploited was the router. And when people build routers from scratch in order to route these transactions to save on gas fees, to put a bunch of transactions into an internal transaction, you find yourself, if you're building from scratch, you find yourself in a position where these exploits can happen because it's new tech. Maybe it wasn't tested as much as it should have been. And again, the only way to really find out if something is exploitable truly is after you get exploited. This is the sad side of crypto, is that the bad apples in the space tend to have a head start because that's what they're out there to do. And until they expose the weak the weak point in your router or whatever it may be, your smart contract, you are not really aware of it. Now, the difference between what we're doing and what they are doing is we're, as of now, using the Uniswap router. That's what we go through. So unless Uniswap itself gets exploited, then our process is safe. In terms of the encryption side of things has never been broken for any of the major Telegram bots. What has been exploited was the router. And that was the same thing that happened with Maestro as well as Uniswap. And again, I don't want to say this in any way that says like, oh, we're better, this, that, the other. It sucks when people lose money. It's the last thing that I want to hear about in terms of, especially working full time in this, because it gets people out of the market. I want more people into the market because, with mass adoption, it's going to do good for everybody who's already here right now. When it comes to what happened there, it's because that they are innovating themselves, which is an awesome thing. I want to see more building. I want to see more innovation in the space. But some exploits were exposed over the past couple of weeks. But in terms of security, like I said before, we're using the Uniswap router. So unless Uniswap's router itself gets exploited, we won't.
Yeah, that's great, mate. I think it was more about the, when people are sending funds to a Telegram wallet, but as you just explained, that's not really the problem here. So yeah, that great answer. Another thing people are asking, because you mentioned revenue share. So how is that going to work?
Sure. Before I move on to that, I just want to say one thing. With these Telegram bots, any Telegram bot, you should always have your funds, the funds that, any funds to be honest, but you should take the time to practice best practices. That's a little redundant there, but what I'm saying there is when you're using a Telegram bot for these things, put the money in that you are willing to make on that trade. Don't have your life savings in on a auto-generated wallet for no other reason other than that's a hot wallet. If you have a cold wallet, that's where it should always be. Security is paramount when we're dealing with DeFi, especially DeFi, because nobody's there to give you insurance. Nobody's there to bail you out when this happens. So that's just best practices when you're using these bots, any bots at all. Make sure that you're not putting yourself in a position to find yourself on something like a Unibot exploit or a Maestro exploit, right? Anyways, now that that's out of the way, in terms of the revenue share. So right now, since we're still in beta, revenue share is not active. However, we will be taking 50% of all fees generated using both the regular trading bot from 0xLeverage as well as the leverage trading bot. 50% of all of those fees are going to be going to the stakers. And you need to have a minimum of 2.5 million 0xL tokens to stake. Currently, right now, I can figure it out actually. But you know what? I'll do that at the end. Anybody who is interested, please, you can do the equation yourself. I just want to make sure that we're staying on track here. But 2.5 million tokens is going to allow you to, get that share of, get your share of rev share. 50% of all fees generated by both bots, the regular trading bot as well as the leverage trading bot, will be kicked back to these stakers. Now, if you have 2.5 million tokens and somebody else has 5 million tokens, obviously this is a weighted system. So the person who has 5 million tokens is going to be getting a bigger chunk of revenue share. I'm sure that's obvious to everybody, but I've gotten a few DMs where people were kind of asking me about it. So just got to be as clear as possible. And that revenue share is going to be implemented closer to the time of the actual public release. I like to kind of think of where we are at right now, because it was a stealth launch, because there's no team tokens, because everything was bought up at the time of launch and beyond. I kind of like to look at this as a pre-sale. 0xLeverage as a token right now is going through beta testing. People can come in to the main chat. They can buy an NFT. They can use the bot to get an idea of the utility. And if they think it's going to be something that can, be as bullish as, everybody so far is kind of seeing it to be. And then when public release goes out, that's when I feel like the true launch of everything is going to be. Right now, if you're listening to this, we got 284 people in here. If you're in our Telegram chat, we've got 2,500 members in there. If you're following us on Twitter, this is the opportunity to see what the utility is. And then when public release goes, that's when the ball really starts rolling. Because again, like I said, we're stress testing this at 100 users incrementally until we're at 1,000 and making sure that is as flawless as possible before going public. Once it goes public, Telegram has 500 million users, over 500 million users. That now is being accessible to absolutely anybody who has a Telegram account. As of right now, it's accessible to 200 people. And not even all of those people are in the beta group testing it, because like I said, there were speculators on, especially on the second NFT drop. There was people that were scooping them up solely with the intention of reselling them on OpenSea, right, on the open market.
Yeah, 100%. So how many people on average have you actually had stress testing at once?
Well, so, this is another reason why we're doing it, because there was a point where so many people had open trades open and the market was doing very well that the leverage pool, we needed to fund it again. So in terms of the actual amount of open trades.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
That we have had at one go. We've had over 30 at one go with no issues. And this is with people opening, closing, setting take profits, setting stop losses, really utilizing the bot. We've got people that are in there willing to get liquidated to test the liquidation process. Like, this is the type of community and the type of user that we've kind of fostered so far, are people that are willing to lose money for the benefit of the overall utility down the line. And I would never ask anybody to do that, but it just so happens these are the type of people that are attracted to the project so far. It's been an amazing time so far through the beta testing. We've gotten to, get close with a lot of people and kind of figure out an entire new trading strategy when it comes to microcaps and leveraging microcaps, because I say this all the time, but you can't take regular technical analysis and a relative strength index, like an RSI reading, and apply that to a chart that launched 2 hours ago. You know what I mean? Like on a microcap that has 40 holders. It's just not going to give you the data that indicator was meant to do. So there's become this whole list of other things you need to look for in order to get a good idea of whether or not a project is going to do well or do poorly, including, there are social indicators is what I'm calling them. You need to go into these chats, find these Telegram chats, find these Discord chats, wherever it may be, look at the Twitter and use your knowledge of social media and apply that to the chart to get a better idea as to whether or not this microcap is going to go up or down. Because at the end of the day, we have to remember with leverage trading, when you open a position, you don't actually own those tokens, you own the position. So your end goal there is to shut that position in profit. But if it goes the other way and it hits liquidation, you don't have anything anymore. Whereas if you were to buy that same token on, just Uniswap and have it in your wallet, it could go almost to zero and then have a second life and moon, and you still have those tokens. So the leverage trading fundamentals stay there in terms of liquidations and closing in profits. However, it's not the same thing as regular trading a microcap. So we need to kind of adapt to this new industry that we've created and figure out ways to kind of capitalize on these positions that we're opening.
Yeah, totally agree. And can people leverage trade your token as well?
So we advise against it for the reason of, in the beginning, man, everybody was super bullish that we all wanted to do it, and then we kind of realized pretty quickly, like, we went, oh, we've got 18 positions open on 0xL, and at some point people are going to have to close them. However, we weathered through that storm. We respectively asked our users not to, and one person kept theirs open, and they kept it open for a very long time, and our chart is doing very well. And they actually closed it yesterday, and they were able to take a $50 position and close out with 1.2 ETH. And what did that user do? Just immediately took that 1.2 ETH and bought it right back into the chart.
That's amazing.
It is, man. It's so cool.
Fair play, fair play. So do you want to just touch on the tokenomics a bit more? What's the total supply, and have you got tax and stuff like that?
Sure. Yeah. So our total supply is 1 billion. So that 2.5 million tokens for rev share is 0.25%. We did it that way because we want an even distribution, even for the people who are kind of climbing up to that revenue share amount of tokens. And then in terms of the tax, we've got 5% buy and 5% sell. That's another reason why we want people maybe not to actually leverage trade 0xLeverage, because when it comes to these taxes, you start your position much closer to liquidation due to the fact that those taxes take place. With those taxes, the 5 and 5, they are we are allocating it to a number of different things, whether it's the leverage pool itself, whether that's our liquidity pool itself to thicken it up, or marketing as well. So those 5 and 5, those numbers of where within the 5 they go, we adjust them as we go, depending on whether or not the leverage pool needs to be loaded up with, depending on not we've got some big marketing coming up, or depending or not that we want to add more to the LP.
That's amazing. That's a really good answer. We've got another question here, because not everyone, obviously, you know what it's like. People haven't got a clue how to use it. So we've got a question. Let me just get it up. Sorry, I'm going backwards and forwards to the
No
group.
worries.
I've just sent him his prize. So it's more or less they're asking, will you have like a video guide or like a simple instructions of how to use it? Because people struggle even to, you know, it's like to create a wallet and stuff these days. So will you have like a basic tutorial from when people just literally join Telegram? Maybe like a video. Have you got one, or have you got one I can share?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a number of video tutorials right now. We also have a walkthrough in our Gitbook, which I can send to you shortly. I'll get them all and I'll send them over to you, and you can share them with the community. But I'm glad that you asked that question, because we are currently building out kind of like a knowledge base for anyone. You know, this is like a Wikipedia for 0xLeverage, or an education board for 0xLeverage. And the reason why it's not out right now is because I want to have a substantial amount of content ready, so that when you go to it, it's not 7 articles that I've wrote over the past 2 weeks, or 7 walkthroughs over the last 2 weeks. I want to have something that is going to be a lot of information from beginner to experienced trader, from someone who has never even used a Telegram, or doesn't have a Telegram account, to someone who has been trading on Telegram since 2019, whatever it may be. We want to have a very extensive walkthrough and knowledge base for pretty much anybody that is going to be interested in this whatsoever. So that will be released. That's something that I wanted to touch on later, but we can touch on it right now. That is going to be released over the next couple of weeks. We're building out the actual UI of it right now. So, it's going to look similar to a Wikipedia, but incredibly easy to navigate through and find exactly what it might be that what question it is that you're looking to have answered. And then obviously, if you're impatient, or if the answer isn't there, or if simply you don't have a lot of time, you can always go into the Telegram chat. Like, we are 24 hours a day busy. We've got people working in terms of the team in the Americas, in European time zone, as well as the Asian time zone, as well as an amazing amount of people in the community that are more than happy to help. So if, when that knowledge base does get released, you still have a question and it's not in there, you're more than welcome to just join the Telegram and ask that right there. Someone will help you.
Yeah, that's amazing, mate. I did actually have a question, but you've answered most of them, so I'll touch base. So someone's asked, can any coin be used? You've already answered that. No, there's a process where obviously you'll add them as and when. And someone said, can you also place a short? You've already said no, you can only do long trading. And the last one was, is there, I think after speaking to you personally, you did say that contracts need to be renounced, because they're asking, just in case the coin changes to a honeypot, for example, can it detect rugs before they pull the LP?
Sure. So yeah, that is one of the parameters right now, is that the contract does need to be renounced for that exact reason. So for whoever asked that, you're thinking exactly like how, we were thinking in the beginning. The idea was there, and we were able to kind of understand the trade logistics of how this would work. But then there's so many other variables that need to take place without putting the leverage pool at risk. And one of those things was having the contract renounced. Now, that doesn't mean to say that every single contract out there needs to be renounced. We are offering leverage trading on stuff such as an ERC20 version of AVAX or TON, more established projects that won't renounce their contract due to the fact that they are developing, major utility with their projects, at which point they won't be able to renounce those contracts. And that also extends to, other contracts that have established followings that are clearly working towards a greater good when it comes to DeFi. It's just when it comes to these, let's say, meme coins, or the other term that a lot of people use to describe them, those are ones that we need to have a renounced contract on, due to the fact that, if there is nothing stopping somebody who just launched a token that has zero utility from changing the taxes to a honeypot, from whatever it may be. There's 100 different types of scams out there that can happen if the contract is not renounced. Once it's renounced, nothing can be changed, meaning that we can be confident that the only thing that is going to affect that token's price is the market itself. And if that's the only thing we have to worry about, then then that becomes a tradable asset.
Yeah, totally understand. Totally understand. Great answer again. We've just got a few questions from the main community for me. So I'll just quickly take a few of these as well, because this is the first AMA I've done for a few days.
Absolutely.
So obviously people are just asking what the future of Main is and what it's all about, etc. So we launched just over a month ago. It was a fair launch. We raised 30 ETH in 9 seconds, and we launched at 72,000 market cap. We went up to about 700, 800,000 market cap, and we're holding about 600,000 at the moment. The actual main thing about Main is we actually welcome all communities into the Telegram, where many projects, such as, if your project is about your project, then obviously that's, common sense. You don't speak about other projects. So that's why we team up with people like yourselves. We've actually made about 10 partnerships with different projects, where people are welcome to come and speak about your project in our room. It isn't just about Main, it is just a marketing token. And what happens is, when we do promotions, etc., a lot of projects give us fees for our time, etc., and we use it to buy back tokens and burn. So in just over a month, we've burnt 10.7% of the whole supply just in buybacks and burns. So what's coming for us is literally, we're just going to keep growing. We've got over, I think, 15 partnerships. We've done over 15 AMAs in 1 month. So the whole focus for Main is to just keep growing, and the community is absolutely amazing. They got raid every day, and so basically that's it. So have you got any questions about Main?
Well, more so a comment. I've been following you guys since, we spoke personally. And, when we spoke personally, it was the first time that I've had a conversation with somebody in the industry for a long time, that the main goal here is to better the entire industry together. When you said that, you don't want to be taking payments for AMAs, you want to just be connecting projects, it was like a breath of fresh air. This doesn't happen often. And like we said on the call, when, we spoke about a week ago, I think that this is going to be one of those relationships, at least between yourself and I, where we kind of check in with each other through, the market leading into the next year, 2 years, whatever. It doesn't happen often, but just based on that phone call, based on this AMA, I love what you're doing with Main. And I love what you're doing with your approach in terms of the industry.
Cheers, mate. And to be honest, it's just, in my eyes, if you work as a team, especially in this space, there's too many toxic people about, and it's all about them. So if you make partnerships such as ourselves, and you get communities together, obviously you're benefiting each other. A lot of people are just a bit too greedy in this space, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's the sad truth, man. It really is. But it kind of reinstilling a little bit of hope in myself over the past, month and a half, that I've been, really grinding back at this, because for a while there, it does get a little bit, sometimes a little bit overwhelming. And when you have all these negative impacts in terms of, the FTX fiasco, UST Luna. There was another one that I even hate bringing up because I got caught up. I was well over invested in it. But all that can start to get to you, and you start to question, hey, what am I really doing here? But over the past month and a half, it's really started to give me these vibes again of what 2020 was, and watching the build up to it. And I'm seeing a lot of similarities between then and now, with a lot of differences because there's new technology. One of those technologies being Telegram trading bots that are accessible to everybody, and being at the precipice of it and the forefront of it and being a first mover. I'm just so unbelievably bullish, not just on 0xLeverage, but in terms of crypto as a whole. Really looking forward to the next, to the next cycle. I don't know how long it'll be till we get there, and I don't know how long it will last. But I am very excited for whenever that comes, and for however long that is.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was just wondering, this is a question from me. Are you going to do leverage trading on like high caps as well, or is it literally just going to be for like micro caps?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So there's absolutely no reason why we can't do that. And like I said, we do have some, for instance, PAX-G right now. For people who don't know what it is, it's Paxos Gold. So there is, according to them, and I'm led to believe it because I hold it, and I hope they're not lying to me. But in New York, they have a warehouse, a secure warehouse, where they have a bunch of gold, and it's backed 1 troy ounce to 1 troy ounce on the blockchain. So it's a way to kind of bypass all of the, red tape and paperwork that comes with buying gold and storing gold on the blockchain. And we have whitelisted that contract for anybody who is bullish on gold. You can go ahead and long gold. And one of the reasons why we want to offer those as well is because leverage trading can be an incredibly profitable, skill, but maybe you're not interested in the microcap side of things. We want to attract people from, multiple different sectors to come use this utility. And there are other options out there. For instance, DYDX is the first one that comes to my mind. However, through using the DYDX UX, I should say, I was very underwhelmed. Like, there was certain things where if I opened up a position, I was not able to adjust my take profit. When I opened up the position, I was able to set it, but if I didn't set it, I wasn't able to set one later. And I found just all these little individual problems that we were able to kind of bring over to 0xLeverage and create a more user-friendly user interface and user experience through our trading bot than what I would consider to be the number one leading decentralized leverage trading platform that's out there right now. And with that, we need to be able to accommodate for the same tokens that they offer, same coins that they offer, if we want to be competitive. And that's the main goal here. We don't want to be something that comes and goes. We want to be something that is here to stay, and people come to us as an all-in-one, one-stop shop for their Telegram trading utility, whether that's regular trading, whether that's leverage trading, whatever it may be. We want to build and innovate and accommodate for that entire market share, and give no reason why anyone would want to use, one of our competitors, or, not even a competitor, someone like DYDX. We want everybody to feel comfortable and safe, and the experience to be so user friendly that they can do it all in one place, which is 0xLeverage.
Yeah, that's a great answer, mate. And to be honest, the good thing about what you're doing is, there isn't much competition in what you're actually doing, like with your innovation. So you are like one of the first movers, or the first mover. And even if people did start to copy it or whatever, you have got a big market to share from, haven't you? So, for example, people can future trade on hundreds of different platforms, but they still make money. So because you're so early, it is really, really good. And I'm glad I bought an NFT the other day. I didn't get a chance to do the testing yet because I've been really busy, but at least I will apply to try the testing bot as well, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very simple process, and for anyone listening that would be interested, you can buy right now the NFT on the actual open market. So you're able to get access to the beta group. You just got to pay a little bit more than what the mint price was. But I should mention the mint price will incrementally go up as well, because we need to kind of accommodate what the open market has set the floor price at. Now, it won't be what the floor price is, but when we sold the second batch of 100 NFTs, we released them on 0 minutes notice. It was an absolute stealth launch. I was sent a message and said, hey, we're doing this at this time, get a message ready. I went, okay, I guess this is when we're doing it. We sent the message, and in 22 minutes from sending that message, 100 NFTs were sold out. Now, that might, back in the peak bull run of NFTs, there was collections that were selling out like a lot faster and a lot more. However, if anyone's paying attention to NFT liquidity right now, it's not doing well. Now, why this is important is because NFTs serve a purpose. A lot of NFTs that have released in the past in terms of other projects, they serve no purpose. But what an NFT really should be used for is something similar to, say, a concert with seats, right? If you pay for front row center, and you get there and somebody else is sat in your seat, you just got to show them your ticket and you now have access to that seat. An NFT serves an individual purpose because it's non-fungible. And what our NFTs do is give you that beta access. I should touch on moving forward when the public release actually happens. These NFTs are going to serve and provide other perks as a reward for believing in us early, for, putting your money where your mouth is and helping us with the beta testing. These NFTs are going to have other perks. Some examples could be lower trading fees, lower gas prices, increased leverage, things like that. So there's more to the NFT than just having access at this early stage.
Yeah, that's amazing. To be honest, I just bought it to support you as a project because obviously we spoke on the phone, and luckily for me, I think it dropped while I was active, and then I've seen people minting them, so I thought so I managed to get one anyway. So I'll be holding that. But honestly, it's been great to have you, and it's really nice to speak to someone so passionate about a project. So what are you? How are you in the team? Like, what position do you do? Are you a developer, or are you just like helping with marketing and stuff?
If I was developing this project, we would be my computer would explode. I am no way a developer, but what I am is somebody that has a knack for speaking. So that's how I was actually kind of connected between like I spoke about in the very beginning, the networks. The team needed somebody that was willing to do these AMAs, and availability was, somebody who works full time in this. And I was able to provide that. With that, though, like I told you in the very beginning, I was paid to research. So I actually wrote reports on Ethereum-based protocols in the last bull run. And I enjoyed it. Like I said, being paid to research is absolutely amazing. But I picked up in terms of a skill, in terms of writing. So the Git book, understanding how everything works together and trying to articulate that to somebody that may not be a developer, may not have the most amount of knowledge when it comes to DeFi and the cryptocurrency industry. I'm able to kind of articulate that into, I don't want to say layperson's terms, but that's what I consider myself to be. It took a lot of time to figure out how this stuff works. I'm not talking 0xLeverage, I'm talking DeFi. And I still am nowhere near where I know some people are, but I am able to kind of grasp a concept and then explain it in a way that is a little bit more understandable to somebody who isn't a developer. So in terms of writing, in terms of a lot of community management, I'm in the chat all the time, just making sure that everybody is taken care of as best that I can. And then doing these AMAs and kind of making these connections like we've made, and trying to get as many eyeballs through that process onto the project as possible.
Yeah, that's amazing, mate. You're doing a great job, and it's always really easy to speak to you. It's been really pleasure to get to know you, mate.
Likewise, man.
It
goes both ways.
No, thank you. Yeah, it's nice to actually meet someone like genuine. Like there's a lot of genuine people in this space, but there's also a lot of really bad apples, like you say. But yeah, I've asked everything I need to ask. So, do you want to you want to just give a closing speech? And obviously I can put a post out for you if you send me the details, or if you drop a tweet on your main account, I'll retweet it on the main account so people can get all your details as well.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, just before I go, I wanted to thank you again. Like I said, speaking to you, I feel like we're going to continue speaking moving forward, maybe even collaborate a little bit more in the future. I want to thank your community. You've done a phenomenal job at getting a very decent following between your main account, between your, how do I say this without saying main twice? Between
Personal.
your personal account, the main account, as well as your Telegram. Everything's awesome. I've been following your community since we spoke. Everybody seems to be on the same page in terms of trying to, grow the space a little bit more in a good light. And yeah, thank you guys. And for anyone who is interested, you can find us in the Telegram or on Twitter, and please feel free to join. So that Telegram, you're going to have to go through the portal. It's t.me/leverage 0x. And yeah, once you get through that portal, any questions you may have, we'll answer in the main chat pretty much 24 hours a day. Outside of that, I don't got much else to say other than thank you, man.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, mate. And like I said, if you get a post out with all your socials on, I have actually got a post on the main account with your Telegram anyway. But if you just want to get another post out later today, let me know and I'll retweet it for you.
Okay, great, man. I really appreciate it. And I'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, man. And thanks for everyone that's joined. And if you are in a project that wants an AMA, or if even if you just want to come into the main Telegram and just chat, general crypto, anyone's welcome. Even if you're new, it doesn't matter. Our community is amazing and they'll help you as much as they can. But yeah, thanks a lot for everyone that's joined, and hope you have a good day.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care, brother.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.